Hello, good evening. It's Wednesday the 12th of October and here is what's making the headlines on Look North tonight. They were promised refuge, but 6 months on from leaving war-torn Ukraine, we hear how difficult it's been to settle into a new life. We'll ask Migration Yorkshire what plans are in place to help rehome those who've been displaced by war. Also tonight, there are just 72 hours left to save Doncaster Sheffield Airport. That's the warning from the MP for Don Valley. Money confiscated from criminals pays for new schemes to protect women from violence. And calling all culture vultures, we've got a bit of Shakespeare and some Van Gogh to set your art antenna aflutter.
Some patchy rain in the forecast tonight, but a lovely day in prospect tomorrow. Join me for that 5-day forecast.
Company this evening. Now imagine building a life, a home, a family, and suddenly having everything certain just torn away. Well, for many people in Ukraine, Russia's brutal invasion in February has changed their lives forever. Here across our region, thousands of you opened your hearts and your doors to take in refugees from the country. 6 months on, while some placements have been a success, others have broken down, leaving families potentially homeless once again. Corinne Wheatley has been to meet one couple who found it really difficult.
Housing is not a good option for us.
Fadir and Valeria eventually found a home and a supportive landlady in Dewsbury, but they say many more Ukrainians currently living with hosts are struggling to find homes to move on to.
In Leeds, as we know, about 750 Ukrainians has come. We understand that most of them will be not prolonged with sponsors, and they have to find their own place. We understand that no one knows solutions. There is no solutions.
Get some plates out, Sasha.
The hosting scheme has provided much more stability for some others, though. Alex and Sonia, their parents and grandmother, have been staying with Julia in Leeds since April.
First, we were worrying about personal space. Then Julia showed us it's easy to live together, and she made us feel it's really our new home. We love her.
The family have settled in with Julia really well, but she says navigating the Homes for Ukraine scheme hasn't been without difficulty.
I know people who would like to keep the people that they are sponsoring within their house, but you know, if you take an average family who may have 3 or 4 people, they get one payment of £350 for all of them, or I get one payment for 5 people, so it's £2.30 a day per person. And it doesn't go very far. The scheme, I think, was set up in quite a hurry, understandably, and there hasn't really been a part 2 of the scheme, so there isn't as much help as you would like to help people get onto the next stage of their life or even to stay with you.
Julia says the family can stay with her until they're ready to move on, offering a home and a friendship as they build their new life in the UK. Corinne Wheatley, BBC Look North.
Well, join me now is Dave Brown. He's the head of Migration Yorkshire. Thanks for coming in, Dave. 6 months on, do we know how many refugees have been settled in Yorkshire?
Under the Homes for Ukraine scheme, we've got nearly 5,000 people now in this region. That's hosted by normal people who've offered up their homes to share with families. There's also some people who've come under a family visa scheme. We don't know the numbers of those. That's more likely to be a couple of thousand who are there with family members, extended family, others who they have somewhere where they can go.
We've heard of some relationships breaking down between hosts and refugees. What's the most common reason for that?
Well, it's a very difficult ask, really, and it's fantastic that so many people have done it. But sharing a home, there can always be difficulties of all those things you're used to doing from both sides of that. People don't always know what exactly they signed up for as well. Overall, it has been very positive overall. The vast majority of those have worked out, but sometimes it just doesn't work out, 2 families living together. What we need to do then is find the right solution for people, and there's lots of different options. There might be other hosts that are there. There might be things we can do with the existing hosts to make things better, and in other circumstances, people find their own houses.
Well, we're just hearing there for existing hosts, payment of £300 a month as a cost of living crisis. That doesn't go very far, does it, when you've got bills for your own family already? I think For some people, finding new hosts, many have tried that and they've exhausted options. I've spoken with many people affected by this. They're saying there's not enough support for part 2. So what needs to happen to help them transition into a new life here?
The main thing that we need is clarity from the government. Things have been a bit stalled with the government changing, ministers changing, getting the decisions there for what we need to happen. Ideally, we need to know what is the process for rematching. We need some certainty about what the future is going to be, because we know that people want to help. We know that Ukrainians are very, very thankful for what people have done here, but it's just about having that support. And what we need the people of Yorkshire to do is to carry on supporting people, helping people, offering all the help that so many thousands of people have done.
Thank you so much for your time, Dave Brown.
Thank you.
Next tonight, there are 72 hours to save Doncaster Sheffield Airport. That's according to local Tory MP Nick Fletcher. Now, he was in a meeting last night with Labour City Region Mayor Oliver Coppard, once again offering public money to owners Peel to keep it going for another 13 months. Now the MP says it's time to buy. James is at the terminal tonight. James, time is really ticking here, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, Amy, and as always with this sort of thing, it's not as simple as that. One of the reasons why it's not as simple just to buy the airport is the most fundamental one. This is Peel Holdings Airport. It's Peel's airport, it's Peel's land. If they don't want to sell it, they don't have to. The other important bit of information is that the mayor themselves, the mayor's office, doesn't have that kind of money, really. If you think about it and put into a bit of context, the devolution deal for South Yorkshire, the money that the government's giving to South Yorkshire as part of that, is £900 million over 30 years. And some people don't think that would be enough in total to buy the airport, and that would be all the money gone for 30 years. So it's slightly complicated. It's not as easy as just buying the airport. Peel don't have to sell it at all. But this is what Nick Fletcher told us today.
I believe there are interested parties, and I believe that the next 72 hours are critical. I do think we're getting to a point now where any offers that are there need putting on the table so Peel can have a look at them. If this offer is flatly refused and a consortium doesn't come forward, then I do think that the combined authority ought to make a serious offer themselves to purchase the airport.
Now, the Mayor, Oliver Coppard, has said that there are interested parties. That offer of money to Peel that they've rejected, and as I understand it, rejected it again last night, was to hold them over while negotiations could take place. But we are heading towards the end of the month when operations here are due to wind down. Liz Truss, in her first Prime Minister's questions, of course, said that she would protect the airport, but it seems like she's now suggesting that that's a job for local politicians. But there's some anger locally that they've tried to get meetings with the government about this and not actually managed to sit round a table with the Department for Transport about what could be done to try and save this airport. This is the Mayor of South Yorkshire, Oliver Coppard.
Look, we would really struggle to buy an airport and then keep it going with all the losses that we've seen, for instance, up in Teesside. Now, I think Doncaster Sheffield Airport has a thriving future if we get the right investors in here to work to take that forward. We're not the best people to do that, the private sector are, but the root cause of this is that Peel aren't prepared to work with us to find a bidder, a buyer. We're out there scouring the international market for people who might buy the airport. They aren't.
One of the other options that's been talked about is a compulsory purchase order, but that would just buy the land, not the airport itself, and it might take 2 years. But 2022 might be the year that Doncaster becomes a city and it loses its airport, and that may happen all on the same day, on the 1st of November.
James, thank you. Next tonight, we're looking at how money seized from criminals is being spent on trying to improve the safety for women and girls in West Yorkshire. Figures from the Office for National Statistics show that women are much more likely to be the victims of stalking, harassment and sexual offences. And reports to our police forces from all victims are increasing. Almost 19,000 sexual offences were recorded in our region last year. That's an increase of 22% on the previous 12 months. Stalking and harassment reports in Yorkshire have risen by 13% also over a 12-month period. Now the West Yorkshire Mayor is using cash recovered by police to spend on projects that aim to build women's confidence. Here's our Home Affairs correspondent, Emma Glasby.
Hands up and out. Stop, that's it, brilliant. And again. Some basic self-defence moves being tried out by a group in Leeds.
One punch, packed out the way. Second punch, packed out the way.
The classes at the Tetley are free. Women can receive help with bus fares so they can get here.
One, and then do you know what? It's not happening again.
We can't show all of those here. Past experiences means some of them don't feel safe. Lucy started these sessions to help build women's confidence.
Coming out of the pandemic, women were even more afraid to leave their homes, but also domestic abuse had gone up during the pandemic. So they may be afraid to leave, but they weren't safe when they were at home either. So I felt it was important to put something out there that was just sort of offering practical, in-the-moment solutions.
The self-defence aspect is mostly to help women feel safer when they go out. These sessions are also about women talking through their fears.
It helped me to be confident in myself, not to be scared, to be aware of people around me. If somebody approaches me in a certain way, I know how I can defend myself.
It's the West Yorkshire Mayor's Office helping pay for the sessions, using money seized from criminals to fund women's safety projects.
I'm hoping that here in West Yorkshire we can be a safer place for women and girls, and whether that's going out on a Saturday night knowing if your phone runs out of battery or you think you've been spiked, that there are safe places that you can go that we fund, because we shouldn't have to worry about what shoes we're wearing when we go for a night out because we might have to run home. We can't thrive in that atmosphere.
This is Eastmoor in Wakefield. At this community centre, Family Fit are using boxercise to encourage women to get fit and strong and adding in some self-defence.
I found out about the class on Facebook, come down to it, just to try and get fit, be healthy, feel better about yourself, to feel more safe, be able to protect yourself. Ladies getting together, having a laugh, having a giggle and feeling better about yourself.
For many of the women like Donna, it's about confidence and fitness. But they hope vulnerable women will also come forward. This area has one of the highest rates of violence against women in Wakefield.
It's always been my passion to give women self-defence techniques. I believe every woman should have it. But on the back of lockdown, obviously we had Sarah Everard, we had Sabina Nessa. Women were reaching out, trying to find ways to protect themselves and to just get people out. A lot of communities, we've isolated ourselves after the lockdown, so it's getting women back out.
Women's safety is now getting attention and funding it's not had before. Tackling violence and abuse is the biggest challenge, but this is about helping women find strength and support. Emma Glasby, BBC Look North.
Let's hope that helps. You're watching Wednesday's Look North, still to come on tonight's programme.
Join me in Bradford, where a world-famous exhibition has landed that can actually make you feel like you're walking into a Van Gogh painting.
Before that, let's bring you some more news that's coming into the newsroom today. A 20-year-old man has been given a life sentence for an arson attack on a Calderdale primary school. Ash Green Primary was devastated in the blaze back in February, causing £4.5 million worth of damage. Today, a jury found Aaron Foster from Mixenden near Halifax guilty of burglary and arson. He has to serve a minimum sentence of 9 years. Sheffield's tram network could be brought back under public control. Supertram opened in 1994 and is currently run by Stagecoach. But the South Yorkshire Mayor, Oliver Coppard, has suggested taking over control of the network when the current contract with Stagecoach runs out in 2024. The idea will be discussed by regional leaders next week. A brand new space centre will be officially opened today in Bradford, or it has been officially opened at Bradford University. It aims to build on the city's history of developing wireless technology and will be the base for a new master's degree in satellite systems engineering. The centre has been funded by a former Bradford student who donated £2 million to inspire the city's future space engineers. How fantastic. Next tonight, a new health initiative in Sheffield could give hope to the thousands of people who live with Crohn's disease. Now, it's a lifelong condition which can cause pain, weight loss, amongst many other debilitating symptoms. A professor from Sheffield's teaching hospital aims to put patient experience at the heart of the treatment and a support programme, and he's been guided by a woman from the city whose diagnosis as a child turned her life upside down. They join me now, so I'm going to welcome Professor Alan Lobo and Samantha McCormick. Thank you so much for coming in this evening. Samantha, you were diagnosed with Crohn's disease at 15. Just tell us your story and the impact that it's had on your life.
Yes, so I was diagnosed, as you said, when I was 15. I was very scared. I was really unwell. I went to the doctors and they thought it was irritable bowel syndrome. But after some persistence from my dad, the doctor referred me. And yeah, after some tests, I realised it was Crohn's.
And what sort of impact has that had on your life?
It has a massive impact on your life because it's a bowel condition. You know, you can have days where you're unwell, days where you're well. You can have periods of remission and flares, and sometimes you have to build your life around your symptoms.
Dr. Lobo, how common is Crohn's disease?
Well, we think there are about 1 in 100 people in the population living with ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease, so inflammatory bowel diseases.
And quite often, am I right in saying it can be misinterpreted as IBS, like you said, Samantha, other sorts of diseases?
For sure, the symptoms overlap with a number of other bowel conditions, so people with persistent symptoms or people with really troublesome diarrhoea or bleeding from the back passage. It's really good to get that checked out, and it's important, and part of this project is raising that awareness because that can contribute to delays in diagnosis.
So tell me, how is this project helping patients? What's the idea?
So we want to shift the focus to put people at the centre of their care, to try and give them a bit more control over their care and therefore hopefully more control over their lives, and particularly put that question of what matters to you at the centre of the care and the centre of that discussion with their clinical team, and at the centre of how services are designed, and by encouraging that conversation, therefore help people with the journey that Sam has had to go through.
So Samantha, you're helping to lead this project as a patient, aren't you? What difference do you think this is going to make to people like you?
I think it's going to make a massive difference because IBD is very personalised. It's no one size fits all, so what I might want, another patient might not particularly want. So by getting patients involved, and as many patients as we possibly can, we can improve the services around what patients actually want and need from that service.
And so you're wanting patients who have got Crohn's disease in the Sheffield area to get in touch, aren't you? So they can be part of this and make it a better experience.
Absolutely, those people that are already coming to our clinic, but also those who've not fully engaged or had difficulty engaging with the service. We're really keen to hear from them too.
And I'm so pleased to hear you finished your studies and your life is back on track, Samantha.
Thank
so
you,
that's
Amy.
great to hear. Thank you both for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now it's time to get all arty. In a moment, we're popping over to Bradford for some Van Gogh, or Van Gogh, if that's how you like to say it. But first, a right old winter's tale, because it's far too late for A Midsummer Night's Dream. I'm, of course, talking about Shakespeare. For the first time ever, the Leeds Playhouse and Leeds Conservatoire are teaming up together to produce 2 shows. It's a double bill of The Bard, Macbeth and Twelfth Night. It stars a lot of local students who represent the best of new talent. Olivia has been to rehearsals this morning.
Gender identity questions, love triangles, power grabbing and violence. Shakespeare might have written Twelfth Night and Macbeth hundreds of years ago, but here they are still so topical in 2022. These third-year students from Leeds Conservatoire are preparing for their final year performances. They started their acting and music degrees during the pandemic, so to finish them on one of the biggest stages in Yorkshire is an honour.
I actually work there as front of house, so it means a ton. For a lot of us, I think it's the first big theatre we've performed in.
Yeah, it's exciting for me as well. I've never performed at the Playhouse before. I've obviously gone to see loads of their shows, and it's been a dream to perform in their theatres, and I think we're very, very lucky to be able to do that, yeah.
Everyone on stage is a student. Behind the scenes are creative professionals. Sound designer Dan had a huge amount of musical talent to work with.
We've got lots of drumming, and some of the drumming is just done with the set. So we've got barrels and boxes and an instrument which you hit called a cajon. We've got clarinets, saxophone, a woodwind, accordions, then right through to all the stringed instruments, mandolins, guitar, but right through to a keytar, which is basically a keyboard. It was made in the 80s, but you wear it and you play it like this. So people of a certain age may well have seen those in pop videos on MTV.
Leeds Conservatoire and the Playhouse are neighbours, but this is the first time they've actually produced plays together.
We've been in partnership since we launched our performing arts courses, which is 4 years in the making. And we dreamed really, really big, and then there was a pandemic, and we had to scale that back. And I think it's been a long time to make sure we're doing the right projects in the right way.
But I think what's really exciting now is we've got the third-year cohort, so it's the graduating actors, if you like. And so, in a way, seeing them just before they're ready to become professionals in their own right is really exciting for us, because hopefully they'll be gracing our stages again as professionals before too long.
Both shows are on at the Playhouse later this month, and afterwards the students will be going on a tour of schools, sharing this very modern musical interpretation of Shakespeare. Olivia Richwald, BBC Look North, Leeds.
Looks like they're having a blast, doesn't it? Take a look at this. Isn't that fabulous? Get ready to gaze in wonder, because we're taking you live to Bradford, where we're immersing ourselves into the work of Vincent van Gogh. Now, the city doesn't officially become home to culture vultures until 2025, but hearing it had been picked for the honour, the organisers of the Van Gogh Alive show decided that they should get in on the act. Nicola Rees is at Regency Hall in Bradford for us tonight. Nicola, it is just amazing, isn't it? It's like you're actually in the painting.
Yeah, and I think you're right that this is a really famous exhibition. It's been all over the world and it's sold out in Sydney, in Rome, in London, and now it's come for its Yorkshire debut, not to Leeds or to Sheffield, but here in Bradford. And I think that is really showing the impact of the city of culture status and what we can achieve. So let's take a look around and I'll stop nattering on. As you can see, this is not a traditional exhibition. There are no, shall we say, photos, pictures that you can touch, that you can see. It's all illuminated projections with lots of sound piped in and also some smells piped in as well. It's a multi-sensory experience. We can talk to Susan Hinchcliffe from the council and also to John, who's behind this project. John, first of all, just give us a little bit more of an idea of what people can expect when they come along.
Well, as you can see from the images behind me or around me, the people will come, you'll be fully immersed in the colour and the artworks of Van Gogh Alive here. There's over 800 images that we portray, and there's letters of Van Gogh as well. So yeah, just a fully immersive experience of sight, sound and smell.
We've talked about the city of culture status and the power of that. How much did that influence your decision to come here for the Yorkshire leg of the tour?
It was very important. Obviously, we saw the announcement and the award to Bradford, and that was the precursor to contact the council. And the council have been very proactive in encouraging us to come here. Have very much been behind the experience, and the office of the City Council have been great.
And this is the life story of Van Gogh, and we've got thousands of images. The iconic ones that people will recognise, like Sunflowers and Starry Night, but also some really lesser-known ones.
Absolutely, there's letters in there. We portray a lot of these letters that give a real insight into Van Gogh and what was influencing him throughout his career and what was influencing him with producing his works of art throughout his life, so yes.
Susan, what do you make of it?
It's fabulous, isn't it? I mean, I've never seen these works projected to this scale before, and it is quite outstanding, actually, in this lovely building, which obviously just made for something like this, really, wasn't it?
The colour and the detail, and do you feel like it's all been brought to life? What do you think of the smells that are being piped in around us?
I did get a bit of the smell, actually. I got a bit of pine forest, I think, at some point there, but it is quite subtle, so people shouldn't be put off by that, because the visual images are marvellous, and obviously it gives you a bit of his life and really get a bit of structure around the Oeuvre, you know, the entire work that he did. It's tremendous, really.
Just a quick, serious note, what kind of an impact could this have on the city? This is a big exhibition, isn't it?
It is, and it's wonderful that Van Gogh Live have actually chosen to come to Bradford and on the back of the City of Culture. And, you know, this is a kind of thing that we can expect. And it's not just for 2025, it's ongoing. You know, culture is a real culture-led regeneration for us. We want to show all the time the great Bradford art and talent alongside national and international works, and that's our ambition, and this is what we're delivering here today.
Well, Bradford is looking fabulous tonight, really colourful, so much detail. It's open to the public from tomorrow and it's running for 3 months, so you've got plenty of time to come along and see it.
Sounds fabulous, and by the sound of it, it smells fabulous as well. Thank you, Nicola. I'm glad Susan clarified there that it was a smell of pine forests.
Yes, I wondered what the smell was, but it looks fantastic, does that? You've been to the one in York, haven't you?
Yeah, the Van Gogh experience, brilliant.
Really impressive. Let me show you...
Van Gogh or Van Gogh?
Van Gogh. Let's have a look at a few pictures you've sent in. That's been a typical scene across Yorkshire today. A fabulous rainbow there in Whitby. Thanks for that, Simply Simon. The second one, paragliding there up over the hills near Holmfirth. That looks good fun, doesn't it? And the third picture is a long shot from Bradfield. I noticed there were a couple of fires. I don't know quite what's going on there. It might be controlled burning, but I'm sure you will let us know. Keep the pictures coming in, Twitter, Instagram, and the Weather Watcher website, of course, if you want to get your pictures on the TV. So tomorrow looks a really lovely autumn day. We've got a weather front coming through at the moment, but that will clear first light in the morning, and then plenty of autumnal sunshine during Thursday in what is quite a chaotic looking set of charts. Friday's not looking too bad, a few showers later. And then on Saturday, it's a day of sunshine and blustery showers, one or two prolonged ones. But Sunday does look the best of the 2 days, mostly dry by then with some sunny spells. A lot of cloud, as you can see on the satellite picture at the moment. It is quite damp in places, so this weather front will just trundle away southeastwards very slowly, bringing some patchy outbreaks of rain. Amounts will be small. That clearance coming into much of Yorkshire later tonight. A bit of mist and patchy fog perhaps. Temperatures down to 5 or 6 degrees. So tomorrow's high water times then, Bridlington 7:05, Whitby, Scarborough, lovely day to come, 6:50 in the morning. So that mist and patchy fog will soon clear, and then we're looking at lots of blue sky developing through the day, lots of sunshine, just a little bit of patchy cloud, and all parts will be dry. And still a bit of strength in that October sunshine, highs of 14 or 15 degrees in just a light southerly wind. Friday, a blustery day with sunshine, a few showers later. Those showers frequent at times, especially in the west on Saturday. Some sunshine in between. At the moment, Sunday looks mostly dry and bright. Amy, that is the forecast. This is a
Van Gogh starry night tonight.
Van Gogh? You're from Wakefield.
Is it a starry night, I'm asking?
No, it's going to be cloudy. Tonight? You weren't listening to the forecast, but cloudy.
I never do.
No.
Thank you, Paul. That's it from us. Oh, we're both back tonight, 10:30.
Yes,
Looking
we are.
forward to it, aren't we, Paul?
Joyous.
Good night.